Again, the adoption process for policies is dictated by law, and it's important for boards to know what the requirements are when they are acting on policy. So the reference again is to Section 563, subsection 1, which dictates how policies are adopted. I already mentioned that this section of the law says that board policies are of general application. They have to be in writing, they have to be codified, in other words, indexed, and they have to be made available to the public. Then the law says, board policy shall be adopted at a regular or special school board meeting. A school board shall provide notice of its intent to adopt a board policy, stating the substance of the proposed policy at least 10 days prior to its adoption. So this requirement is one that would mean that you need to let the public know through publication generally of your agenda at least 10 days prior to your intent to adopt a policy. Notice that it says that the notice itself must include a statement of the substance of the proposed policy. So the requirement is not that you publish the policy itself, although you can do that if it's not too long a policy. But what you must do is let the public know that you intend to adopt a policy and give a general statement of what the substance of that policy would be. In the cases that we've looked at, it would probably be sufficient to say that you intended to adopt a policy on the professional development of employees. That would probably be sufficient. It'd be probably sufficient to say that you intend to adopt a policy on tobacco prohibition on school grounds. And in either of those cases, that would probably be sufficient. It does require that it be 10 days in advance of the adoption. And as part of your consideration of this, we need to keep in mind that the purpose of this, of course, is to give opportunities for the public to come in and talk with you if members of the public want about the policy that you're considering. So other sections of the law are fairly clear about the obligation of boards to give what is called a reasonable opportunity to the public to appear and to express views with regard to any matter that's being considered by the board. So part of your process will be to let the public know, and when you are considering adoption, to make sure that you give the public an opportunity, anybody who's at the meeting, an opportunity to give you their impressions or opinions about the policy that you're about to adopt. It's not uncommon for boards to have their own provisions on how they adopt policy. And so while the law requires only a 10-day notice in advance, it would be pretty common for your own board to have a policy on policies, believe it or not. And it might say that you, often those policies say that you will give maybe two or three what are called readings of a policy before it's adopted. So if you do have that kind of restriction on your adoption process in your own local policies, you need to be aware of that and do whatever those policies require. If it were 3, for example, readings, that would generally mean that at 3 different meetings you would be talking about this policy before you adopt it. And so if you meet monthly, then it's probably going to be 3 months before you're going to be able to actually adopt a policy. So if you have none of those restrictions, then 10 days is sufficient, making sure that the public has a chance to come in and talk with you about it. So that's the process for actually adopting and voting on a policy, but we ought to talk about the development of the policy itself. And policies are legal statements. They're comparable to statutes that the Vermont legislature would enact. They often are on subjects that are fairly complicated, and they're often on subjects where the law or legal constraints make a big difference. So the best way to do this, in our opinion, is to have the policy adoption and the development of policies done to the greatest extent possible at the supervisory union level if you're in a supervisory union. It's going to be school administrators primarily, superintendents and their other administrators who do the work of researching the policy requirements, developing drafts, presenting them to the board, discussing them with the board, and that's most efficiently done if you do it at the supervisory union level. If you're in a supervisory union and the supervisory union at the supervisory union level develops policies and sends them to you for adoption, you have options, obviously, as a local board about whether you want to accept what the supervisory union has provided for you. I think in most cases it's good if you can accept it to do so, because if you do, you end up with uniform policies throughout the supervisory union, and that can be a real aid in administering those policies for administrators. But as a local board, you have the option of altering the drafts that you're presented by the administration and making sure that they fit your local needs. So the drafting, the policy research part of it is going to be done by administrators. And in some cases, in many cases, it may be necessary to get a legal review of the policies, and that's something the administration would do. It's important that if you do feel that there's unanswered questions, complications, legal technicalities that you're not comfortable with, that you have your school district lawyer look at policies before you adopt them. It's best if you can find a school district lawyer that has experience in school law, because some of the policies that you'll be faced with really are very tightly controlled by either federal or state law with regard to school districts. But it's also important that you get advice from your attorney, because your attorney is the only person who can give you legal advice. We provide at the VSBA a model policy service. We provide drafts. If you look at our drafts, you'll see that they often include annotations and footnotes that are designed to help you see why the policy states, model policy states what it states. And we provide that because we think it's helpful. We're also willing to, and consider it to be part of our job, to consult with you or to consult with administrators on policy issues. We do have some resources here that allow us to help with a legal review, but in the end analysis, if you need a legal review, it's your own attorney who's going to be the one who actually provides you legal advice. So part of the adoption process may well be a review by an attorney.